Here we are again, Hornets. This is just going to be a quick recap on punctuating parenthetical elements. And one of our big things with this is making sure that we're going over some things with commas, and I want to make sure that there's some stuff that we understand that we haven't forgotten from last year. So, real quick, just so you remember, we're punctuating parenthetical elements. And parenthetical elements, just in case you don't remember, is a piece of extra information that is interesting but not absolutely necessary, which means you can usually cut it out, that you don't actually need the information to make your sentence make sense. Now, for parenthetical elements and parenthetical expressions, we want to make sure, as I was saying, we're using punctuation marks to set off different types of parenthetical elements. And for those, we use commas, and we also use, let me roll my thing up, parentheses, and dashes. Kind of looks like a minus sign. So we use these to make sure we separate it from the rest of the sentence. Okay? We use a comma to set off information that is not essential to understanding the rest of the sentence, which once again means we could cut it out. We've got over here on the side, I'm going to switch to a highlighter, maybe. That Rachel Carson, born on a small farm outside of Pennsylvania, devoted her life to protecting the environment. She was always interested in nature, even as a young girl. Now, they added commas to separate the information that we didn't need, that we could cut out this, and the sentence would still make sense. Rachel Carson devoted her life to protecting the environment. She was always interested in nature, and you could even cut out even as a young girl. So that's why I want y'all to start realizing is that parenthetical means that we could cut it out. The sentence would still make sense. Now, but it does help. We use commas to make sure that it helps us understand something we might not have, even though the sentence makes sense. So when we jump to parentheses, which is our next one, we're using that to set off non-essential information or to remind the reader of something they already may know. For example, over here it says that Rachel Carlson did important research on the effects of chemicals on our water supply. Well, it gives us the 1907 to 1964 to give us the years she lived. That's not necessarily essential to us understanding the sentence, and it might be something the reader already knows. So we want to put it used in parentheses. That's what those little things are right there, guys. And our last one that we use is the dash. It looks like a really long minus sign. So we use it to add emphasis to set off a new thought or show a sudden change in thinking. So our example over here says Carson, always passionate about nature. There we are using those dashes to set that off to make sure that it's emphasized, was a powerful and persuasive writer. She began her writing by exploring life in the sea, a world unknown to most readers. And there it is again, in that bolded part, a world unknown to most readers, adding emphasis to why she's using the sea. All right, so we're going to go on down to our bottom part, and we're adding punctuation from what's in italics. So we're looking at where 1 says parentheses, 2 is looking for commas, 3 is the dash, 4 is the commas, and 5 is the dash. All right, so number 1, Elizabeth Blackwell, 1821 to 1910, grew up in a time when women were not welcome in many professions. So, I forgot to look at our hint. Our hint says when a parenthetical element is in the middle of a sentence, be sure to set it off with the same type of punctuation before and after. Our example down here is that Isabel, also known as Izzy, is shy. So notice we have a comma here, and then we also have a comma. We open with the comma, and we're going to close it with a comma. We want to make sure we don't, like, for example, open it with a dash and close with a comma. We don't do that. That is not right, okay? So remember, if we're going to open parentheses, we also want to make sure we close parentheses. So our extra information that we don't necessarily need and that you might already know is that Elizabeth Blackwell, when she was born and when she died. So we want to add our parentheses right there. Number 2, she thought women would want to see a female doctor rather than a male doctor about their health concerns. Well, we want to use commas. So she thought women would want to see a female doctor, comma, rather than a male about their health concerns. I'm going to put a comma after male because I could technically cut out rather than a male and the sentence would still make sense. She thought women would want to see a female doctor about their health concerns. 3, Blackwell was accepted into Geneva Medical School after being rejected by 20 other medical schools. This is when we want to include a dash, and I can tell you it's for emphasis reasons. So, Blackwell was accepted into Geneva Medical School. That'd be a great place to put a period, but since we have extra information to emphasize, we're going to put a dash in between. And number 4, Blackwell, a determined person, became the first woman to graduate from medical school in the United States. Well, the important thing is that she graduated from medical school. So the fact that she's a determined person, according to the instructions with commas, we want to set off that parenthetical expression, a determined person, because I can take that out and the sentence would still make sense. Okay. All right. And then our last one, she later established a medical school just for women. I could put a period after she established medical school, but to add for emphasis, we've added the just for women, so we're going to use the dash. Okay? Well, that is our very first step into overview of parenthetical expressions and parenthetical elements. So remember, parenthetical elements means that we could cut it out of the sentence, and we use commas, parentheses, and dashes to make sure we separate that out from our sentence. If you have any questions, please make sure to let us know.